everybody, and welcome to another vlog. This is vlog number, I can't remember. I think it's 14 or 15. Anyway, doesn't matter. You ever have one of those days? It's been one of those days. Actually, it's been one of those days where I've made 2 trips to the post office and I have got a stack of mail, really mostly packages, that I've been going through. For example, today I got the samples from the Awaken Realms Kickstarter, which I've already done a video of, which you may have watched. And by the time this video comes out, their Kickstarter is probably already done, so what are you going to do about that? But I also got from the Northumbrian Tin Soldier in Tyne and Wear in the UK. Very excited about this. This is the Time Robbers. Time Robbers. Not to be confused with Time Bandits. These are super cool. I haven't even actually cracked the package yet. I just haven't had time. But from just looking at them close up, they look fantastic. There you go. There you go. I'm actually really excited about these. I don't think I'm going to paint them anytime in the near future. But this is one of several things that has come out recently that has wanted to... Here, so you can see it. That has really been sort of making me want to get into something for purely nostalgia reasons. So these came out recently from, again, as I said, the Northumbrian Soldier. Northumbrian Tin Soldier. And another one that came out were Grail Knights. Knights of the Holy Grail, which are really Monty Python and the Holy Grail minis, and they're just spot on. I didn't order those. These were actually more of a temptation for me because I felt like I could use these, and just think about it. These are the Time Bandits, and they can go anywhere in time. So anything that's historical, these guys could show up. Fantasy, these guys can show up. I don't know if you recall the movie, but at the end of the movie, they went into the Time of Legends, which is really sort of a fantasy realm. So I just thought it would be fun to, like, you could come up with scenarios for almost any game where these guys show up and cause mayhem. So I had to do it. And I'm really happy I did it. So there. So aside from those 2 things, I got schmutz on my anyway. Aside from those 2 things, the big announcement and now release is the Death Watch something. Why do I not remember any of these things? And I should really take better notes, but I don't. But it's got the Genestealer cults, which when I was first getting into 40K, they were like the coolest thing ever. I loved the cults. I never built an army for them, but I had purchased some of the figures for it. And I only sold them maybe 6 months to a year ago, the last few of my original cultist minis. Because they were just so cool, and I didn't really necessarily want to get rid of them, but I was never going to use them for anything. And in any case, the new ones, so much cooler. So it's been a nostalgia-filled month for me. That's actually not all my mail. I have a 2 terabyte drive to replace the 1 terabyte drive that took a crap last week in my old computer. Now, some of you might recall I said that I'd been having problems with my my computer, which sort of made me not want to do the video game videos, because really this was the more important thing, and I felt like maybe that was just putting too much of a burden on that machine. Well, what was really the burden on it was a drive that was failing, and actually it could be that all of the writing to the drive that I was doing with those videos might have been accelerating the process. I don't know. But in any case, replacement Western Digital 2 terabyte drive, largest drive I've ever owned. My very first hard drive, 40 megabytes for my Amiga 500. Came in a case larger than this, it was external, and it kind of stuck in the side. Crazy. But as far as work goes, because that is usually the thing I lead with, what I've been doing in the past month. So in my last vlog, I probably sounded like I was a little concerned about the amount of work that was coming in. And to be fair, it was a little concerning, maybe disconcerting is probably the word I want to be using here. It's a little disconcerting because I was sort of getting things and finishing them and getting other things and finishing them, which is not the way I normally work. The way I normally work is I get a lot of things and then I finish them up. And then as I'm finishing them up, new things come in and get on the back end of the queue there. And it just keeps things going, keeps the income steady, works out really well. But, you know, end of the year, beginning of the year, it's not usually the way it is. And I feel like it may have taken a little bit of extra time to kick back into the regular flow of jobs. But flow, it is doing. And right now I'm in the process of, I just finished a large-ish project. I painted all the minis for Mice and Mystics, the board game. Actually, this is another board game-filled month. So Mice and Mystics, I'm working on and just finished a big chunk of minis for Journey, Wrath of Demons, another board game, another Kickstarter. And those are fabulous, actually. And if I could show you, well, I can't show you right now, but I could probably show you in photos, perhaps, or maybe alternate video, what those minis look like. Because for board game minis, they are amazing. I liked the Mice and Mystics minis. The plastic's on the softer side, but the sculpts are just, they're adorable. They're really good. But this Journey game, the sculpts are fantastic. The material they use to cast them, I don't know, because sometimes I wish I actually knew more about plastic than I do. I know sort of the bare minimum. I know it's not polystyrene, at least it's not the high impact polystyrene, sometimes referred to as HIPS. It is more flexible than the polystyrene, but not as flexible as some of the softer minis, probably closer to what Fantasy Flight is using for the Imperial Assault minis, because those are a little flexible, but they're not super flexible. Anyway, I don't know why I'm wandering down this road here. But in any case, they're nice. The build quality of them, because they're pre-built, they're not cast in one piece. They are pre-built, but the build quality is very nice. There's very few seams that need to be filled based on, where the pieces go together. That's usually where you're going to have some issues. Seam lines are minimal. Sometimes they're in really difficult spots, so difficult that you're sort of having to do that balance of, does it make sense to try to remove the seam line, or the casting line, really, the mold line, when you could end up actually disfiguring the model more than that line does. And you just make that call as you move on. But otherwise, they're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful minis. And I just painted up 15 Minotaurs. I'm not sure what they call them in the game, but they're Minotaurs. That's what they are. And I'm looking at the next batch I'm going to be doing is about... So those Minotaurs all have like hand weapons. So they are axes and maces. And the next batch is going to be guys with bows, And then there's a few guys that are actually more like, they're like centaur minotaurs, so even more bull-like. Just imagine a bull centaur. Senator? That's something which, that's a centaur that is a senator. But no, just imagine a minotaur that has 4 legs instead of 2, and looks like a centaur. And then after that, I have more Kingdom Death monster models. The big batch of new expansions just came out. And for example, these are the wings to a giant dragon that I will be painting in that line. This is the main body. Here, see if you can take a look at that. Whoop. Look at the other side there. The detail on these things is just stunning. Did you actually get a look at this part right there? There's always weird insets in some of these minis. But I'm so looking forward to this. I like doing big stuff. Big stuff was a part of my life much more often back in like the 90s. I was since I had sort of moved on from painting gaming minis at that time to just painting kind of display models, vinyl kits, resin kits, things like that. And this totally brings me back to that. And the quality of the Kingdom Death stuff is phenomenal. So always looking forward to that. And just keep in mind, like this came today, the hard drive came today, all those minis came today. There was something else. Just FYI, I haven't really been playing anything recently. I have had not a lot of time to actually game. I went to a convention. I went to TotalCon, and I did play a little, what did we play? Squadron Strike, I think is what that's called. It's a 3-dimensional space combat game that I think I mentioned last month. And that was pretty fun. And I haven't actually done much gaming otherwise. At least not that I've mentioned. Did I mention Void Striker last time? I can't recall. Void Striker being another space combat game. I've got a buddy of mine that is sort of really invested in space combat games right now. So as he discovers new ones that he wants to try out, I end up trying them out too. But what's interesting is what he has decided he wants to try is Age of Sigmar. And to be fair, this was something he had said he wanted to try a while back. And so we had picked up a set, and I grabbed the Chaos Guys. He got the Sigmarites. And I think what happened recently is, because after that, like, he painted some of his and I assembled a couple of mine, but then we both our interests sort of went in different directions. But recently, and we're back to sort of other things I'm working on. I have been working on the model for the 5,000 subscriber contest, and that is the Celestant Prime, I think it's called. And I've been loving it. I've been really, really enjoying doing that. In fact, so much so that it's got me thinking, maybe I could build a small army of Sigmarites, because there's something really cool about painting those things. It's a little bit like painting a Space Marine, but without all of the superfluous detail that those guys seem to have. Not all the little things hanging off, not all the little doodads on their belts, an excess of skulls or what have you, spiky bits. They're just really clean, very, very clean, very simple, very straightforward, and painting them is kind of nice. You get to just play with color and work with the interesting shapes, and not so much about, oh, I forgot to paint that little thing, oh, I forgot to paint that little thing. Anyway, I was sort of expressing these same feelings to him about it, and then a couple of days later, he said, "Hey, well, you want to try Age of Sigmar?" So I have a feeling that perhaps I had gotten him thinking about it again. So last night, I went ahead and assembled all of the Chaos guys from the starter box. And those guys are the kind of excessively detailed, way too many spiky bits going on kind of models. And I don't expect that I'm going to paint them all, but I do want to work on them. And I have actually been good recently about squeezing in a little bit of my own models along with the work, which over the past year, I have been really bad about that. And I think, I don't know if it's just feel like I'm putting in too much effort during the day and then later on I don't feel like doing it. So what I've been doing lately is getting to a point where, like a stopping point where, oh, these guys all need to dry. I'm going to pull out this model that I've been working on and noodle on it for a little while that happens. And then put it back and go back to work on the other thing. And you can actually get a fair amount of work done that way. I'm not going to be painting any armies anytime soon like that. It would take forever. But it does allow me the opportunity to paint some things like Captain Hammer, which is a hassle-free mini. And I have discovered that, you know, if we're going back to talking about the kind of clean and simple minis, a lot of the hassle-free minis fall into that category for me. The sculpting is super clean. They're not overdone. The castings are beautiful. And they're a lot of fun to paint. And because they tend to be relatively simple, they don't take very long. So that's kind of fun too. But the Captain Hammer mini came with an order that I had done. My son and somebody else from the store wanted to do like a group order of hassle-free minis. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? Why don't I do that? And they had some guys that are sort of Stargate looking, like SG-1 crew. And so I ordered those, and the other guys ordered some other stuff. And there was this extra figure that I really didn't pay any attention to, but I kept since I was the one that did all the work. And I pulled all that stuff out of storage recently and was looking them over and thinking about painting the SG-1 guys, and showed that extra mini to my son, and he's like, huh, you know, that looks like Captain Hammer. And I was like, oh my God, I have to paint this, because he was totally right. And as I looked him up on the site, he's actually called Sergeant Spanner, which is beautiful. Anyway, I was able to sneak that in really quickly. He's not for anything. I just did it just for fun, which in itself is pretty cool. Because sometimes one of the problems of painting for gaming is that you get that feeling that you have to do something. It's like, I have to paint this in order to play this game. And that's a horrible feeling, because then you just feel too rushed and you don't necessarily get to enjoy the process of doing it. It's one of the things I like about painting for other people is, although I do have to get things done, well, I'm getting paid to do it, and I get to really just enjoy the process. And I like doing that. So somehow I've managed to just ramble on here for 20 minutes with barely a break to take a breath. I don't know what's going on. I'm full of energy and too many things that I need to do right now. I have videos to edit. I actually shot some video yesterday of the Celestant, but I didn't edit it because I would have to edit it on my laptop, and the last time I edited on my laptop, it was a painfully long render. And I'm gonna have to edit this one, but I'm not doing this one until I get that hard drive installed. So I have a hard drive to install. I'm gonna have to reinstall all of my software. What a huge pain in the ass. And I'm gonna need to get the rest of the Wrath of Demons models primed today, I think, and sort through all of the stuff that came in the mail today. So it's going to be one of those days. So anyway, I guess that's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching, and just keep in mind, if you like these videos, you might want to click like on the video. If you want to make sure you see my videos in the future, subscribing is always a good thing to do. And thanks to everybody who subscribes via Patreon. The number of Patreon subscribers keeps going up, and it just surprises me, I guess. But I definitely appreciate it. It's actually making more things possible. I am seriously looking into buying a 3D printer very soon. It's actually one of the goals for Patreon, and I'm really only about halfway there. But the truth is, I would really like to just do that. And so I'm looking at whether or not I can make that able to at least pay for itself over time. I have some projects right now that I want to do. My next update on the assault carrier project is going to be specifically revolving around this. So I'm not going to go into any detail here, but I really want to have one. Even though I figured out a way to not have one, it's just not a useful way. And that is, I've been getting things printed at one of the local colleges, and it's a lot cheaper than going through Shapeways, for example. The downside is it's a lot more of a hassle than going through Shapeways. But I'll go in more detail in the next assault carrier video. So anyway, that's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye.